Hello everyone! Welcome back to some more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer videos. This is going to be a Greenskin versus Skaven battle. My army is a front line of good old-fashioned orc boys. Don't bring them much, but why not? I felt nostalgic, I don't know, I guess, to bring orc boys into the battle. So we got a front line of orc boys backed up by an orc shaman and Grimgor Ironhide. Not the best leader that the Greenskins have in terms of multiplayer competitiveness, but it's okay to, to bring him out of that poor closet that he stuffed into most of his life, because he's just one of the worst lords that the Greenskins have. And it really shouldn't be, right? He's Grimgor Ironhide, but he's actually not that. Anyway, so Grimgor and an orc shaman. Then we also have two savage orc biggins, one on each flank back here. Behind them we have two Gabo archers and the hammer of Gork, and then off in the forest we have a orc chariot right there. We have two Goblin Wolf Riders. Well, we do have two Goblin Wolf Riders, but I forgot. One is actually over here. The other one is right here. We also have one of the Forest Goblin Spider Riders, and then two Orc Boarboy Biggins. One over here, and then one over there going around the flank. And that is my army. The goal of having a bunch of the fast-moving cav was to tie up the Skaven artillery, of which there is none in this particular battle. Instead, we have two of the gutter runners with poison. We have two death runners, one right here and then one tucked in back here somewhere. A front line of only Skaven slaves, which are very cheap. And then we have two storm vermin with halberds in the back, two rat ogres, one on each side, and then two warp fire throwers tucked in the middle. Don't really see warp fire throwers at all. So I was kind of surprised to see them here. Their leadership is going to be a Plague Priest and the Grey Seer of Plague, so that is going to be a lot of potential rat summons to try and support the front line of Skaven slaves, which honestly are going to break pretty quickly, but at least if you have a bunch of summons backing them up, it could not be a terrible situation. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's their entire army. Alright, let's go. So right here you can see that I'm going to be pulling back because I'm like, wait a minute, the enemy doesn't even have any artillery, so I was going to rely on my Hammer of Gork to just try and do some damage, and then I think I start charging here in another moment. Because I backed up, and then I'm like, wait a minute, we're Greenskins. Why am I backing up? As Greenskins, you always charge, so we should be getting a charge here soon. We're going to be getting our chariot out here, we're going to be getting our fast movers. I'm going to run this chariot into the gutter runners, and I didn't notice the death runners behind them. I'm just going to say that right now. So I'm going to be throwing that chariot into the gutter runners, thinking that it will do a lot of good damage, but it's going to get tied out there by itself and surrounded by the death runners. Not gonna be great. This mainline engagement here should go pretty well for me because the Skaven slaves have no chance of killing orc boys, and I brought the savage orc biggins specifically to kill rat ogres. So the whole orc boy biggin, the two of them may be a bit overkill because the two savage orcs can take care of the rat ogres, and the enemy even engages both the savage orc biggins with their rat ogres, which I was kind of shocked, so that's good for us. So I probably could have made these just normal orc boys, not actually the biggin version, and save a little money there, but it's all good. In the middle, we are going to be breaking the center of their line and dealing with one of the death runners, as the other death runner is out there destroying our orc boar chariot. We're trying to get into this gutter runner with one of our orc boy biggins and holding them down with the Forest Goblin Spider Rider archers. In the middle, we have our Goblin Wolf Riders and a second one coming over here, and their goal is going to be to try and keep these warp fire throwers busy, as our Orc Boar Boy Biggins, God, it's still a mouthful, tries to actually kill them and shoot through the armor that they have, because actually, no, they don't have high armor. My bad, I thought these things had like a 90 armor. I never used them. But there we go, they only have 40 armor. They're not actually that well armored. Over here, we have a group of Plague Monks that have been summoned. I think they're summoned around this location and then pushed forward into my archers. And they're actually going to leave my Hammer of Gork free to just continue to fire into the, I believe I'm firing into Storm Vermin or the Death Runners. I can't remember which one. Here comes the second of the Plague Monks summoned from one of these two heroes. I'm trying to chase this guy down with Grimgor, but Grimgor only has his feet, whereas this guy has a giant bell thing, so they're going to be able to outrun me, unfortunately. And at this point in the battle, you can kind of see, like, some of my cheap units, like my Wolf Riders, are routed. They will come back. These Orc Biggins actually took a lot of damage from the Rat Ogres and the Death Runners that were located over here. Again, the second Death Runner is over here. I'm keeping mentioning that because the Death Runners are pretty much their most elite unit that the Skaven have, so it's kind of important to know where they are currently at. These Death Runners have routed off a chariot. They did a lot of damage to Orc Boar Biggins. They did some damage to all these cheapy Forest Goblin Spider Riders. And at this point in the battle, it's kind of chaotic because we have forces down here chasing my Gabo archers. We have still engagements over here for whenever one of my units comes back from routing. I kind of just throw them back into the gutter runners to poison because I really want to try and kill them with our Wolf Riders, but it's not doing so well. Over here, the Death Runner is actually chasing my Orc Boy Biggins because I want to try and disengage. So we disengaged once, and I think I went to micromanage some other things like get reinforcements back in for routing. And so they got caught over here. I think I'm going to try and disengage these Orc Boy Biggins again. Meanwhile, in the back, we have our second Orc Boy trying to finish up the Rat Ogres, get into the Gutter Runners, I think, next. And we were more concerned about also killing these Warp Fire Throwers, because the Warp Fire can do really well against our Orc Boys and our Savage Orc Biggins. Basically, our entire army, because I didn't really bring any armored units except for Grimgor. So the Warp Fire Thrower can actually do really good here if we let it to actually fire. But since we had so many fast movers with these Wolf Riders and the Orc Boy Biggins, we've actually been able to keep them under lock for the most part. You can see they are going to be coming back up over here. And where's the second one? Did we shatter the second one? I know they got that one. We maybe just straight up destroyed or shattered the other one. I can't remember. So finally we managed to deal with one of these summoned plague monks over here. The second one is going over here to try and assist their leader against my Orc Boys and my Forest Goblin Spider Riders, who were now running away from the Gutter Runners because they were taking so much damage from them and those Death Riders. You can see the Warp Fire is acquiring targets on my Orc Boy Biggins, who are way out here chasing these Death Runners. I think I hit them, I assigned them to kill the Death Runners, and then I kind of forgot about the Orc Boys when the Death Runners started to break. And I'm just too busy microing other things and trying to keep units back from routing, like right here and right here. Because it's just a chaotic battle, because they had, you know, multiple summons coming down here, so I had to deal with these. We still have Gunner Runners in the flanks dealing damage to my Savage Orc Biggins. These Savage Orc Biggins actually chased one of the Rat Ogres off the map, and I didn't notice that until very late into the battle, because they were just kind of hiding here in the forest, so now I'm just finally pulling them back in. We have more units coming back from routing over here. I think this is like the second or third time for the Orc Boy Biggins, so it's constantly like units coming in, trying to plug them wherever I can, and then they reroute once again because Orc leadership is basically crap. It's one of their greatest weaknesses. And then they come back from routing again. I'm like, oh crap, okay, cool. Come back in, come back in. Over here, we managed to charge those Warp Fire Throwers, so they did not manage to finish our Orc Boy Biggins, so we're going to reroute those as well. You have another Summon Clan Rat coming after my Goblin Archers. Once again, I'm trying to destroy them with this one group of Orc Boys. I think I had this second group of Orc Boys coming after them as well. Again, a lot of summons here when you're dealing with two Skaven leaders with Plague spells. They got a lot of summons in between them. More Skaven Slaves trying to stop our Savage Orc Biggins. Luckily, these guys were basically untouched by the Rat Ogres, so they are still relatively fresh, but they are going to take a lot of damage from these Gutter Runners. Another reason why I really wanted to try and kill the Gutter Runners is because they are really good at killing basically anything in my army. So I threw a lot of resources into trying to kill them, but they keep getting netted, because if you don't know, the Gutter Runners with poison, they actually have a net like ability that automatically procs anyone that gets close to them, and so it slows your movement speed. And then on top of that, their poison shurikens are going to slow your movement speed even more. So like this Orc Boy Biggin is moving at 36 because it's been netted and it continually gets poisoned, and so it's just getting kited and destroyed. And that's kind of what's happened to a lot of my fast movers and Orc Boys as I try to throw them against these Gutter Runners on the flanks. They've just been massacred by that net ability and the poison damage. They just can't catch the damn Gutter Runners, so they just are staying alive for a very long time. You can see the Warp Fire Thrower coming back into action. I can't remember what I sent after them next. But Grimgor, for the most part, has just been hanging around this area, just trying to chase out the Skaven leadership. We managed to get into a duel, as I was probably talking about something else, but we actually managed to finally pin down one of the leaders and do a lot of damage with Grimgor, and that's going to be the end of the match. It was a hard battle to cover because there was just fighting going on like all over the place. I remember during this battle, I think I played from this viewpoint, and every couple seconds I was looking down at my bar and I'm like, okay, this person's come back running. I like double click and it'll bring me to wherever the hell they are, and then I'm like, okay, just come over here. And then by the time I get back here, I'm like, oh crap, there's nothing to come back, because like the leadership is so bad and they just kept breaking it, but yet coming back and not shattering. So it was a hectic fight. So hectic. And I just kept Grimgor and the Orc Shaman in the middle for as long as I could, and I had him chasing their leadership around, and he got a couple of good hits on them. And Grimgor was also fighting against the Storm Vermin with halberds, and at one point he was also fighting the Death Runner as well, and he managed to survive and netting 31 kills and doing, I think, good damage to both the Plague Priest and the Grey Seer. I think he got a piece out of both of them. You can see that our Orc Boys did really well, because unless the Skaven bring a higher tier infantry, like I'm sure the Plague Monks could deal with the Orc Boys. I don't know how much health they would have left, but they can for sure deal with the Orc Boys on their own. But anything below that, like Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves, Orc Boys should do really well, and obviously they did, because they got a ton of kills against the Skaven Slaves and the summoned Clan Rats that the Skaven brought against us. So against Skaven, you don't necessarily have to go like 6 Black Orcs, because it's kind of overkill unless the enemy is bringing a ton of Storm Vermin, which who does that? Like, who brings normal Storm Vermin as the Skaven? Just the people with the swords and shield. Nobody! Because they are super expensive for what you get out of them. Like, the Storm Vermin with halberds, fine. They're very expensive, but they do have a role. I think they're fine. But the Sword and Shields are just like this unit that might as well not exist in multiplayer. It's just one of those units. So you're probably never going to fight those unless someone is just like, oh, I guess I'll just bring Storm Vermin because I'm going to be funny. I've done that before. Managed to win with them, but I don't think you should bring them because they're not. Anyway, Savage Orc Biggins did really well against the Rat Ogres. The Rat Ogres did not have time to actually get anything going. They did do some damage to my Orc Boar Boy Biggins, but the Savage Orcs are just really good at killing a low-armored monster infantry like the Rat Ogres, which is exactly why I brought them. And again, looking back, it's kind of overkill to bring 2 Biggins and Savage Orc Biggins. Like, these should have been either Orc Boar Boys or just an entire unit altogether, just something else differently. Like maybe an Arachnarok Spider. Well, I would need more money than what those give. Anyway, a little overkill. Probably won't bring them again against the Skaven army because they don't have that many large creatures. Like, another unit that no one ever brings is the Abomination. It's not that amazing, so no one really ever brings it. So the only large unit you're really going to face off is the Doomwheel and Rat Ogres. So you don't need usually too much anti-large against Skaven. The Hammer of Gork, which was left alone throughout the entire battle, got 89 kills. I'm not entirely sure why the enemy never put one of those Summon Clan Rats on that, because I was not protecting it. Orc Shaman netting 108 kills. I think I did drop a Foot of Gork and a couple of Here We Goes. And then I guess everything else they just killed in melee, I guess. That's from what I remember. So a good game to Schmel, and my god, the kills of the leadership got. Jeez. And the Death Runners did excellent. Warfire Throwers didn't get much going, but that's because we were on them from the start of the battle until the very end. Whew, I did a lot of talking in this one. Thanks for watching. Let's go watch a cinematic view of this chaotic battle. Good old-fashioned Orc boys. Good old-fashioned cowardly Orc boys. Like, this is when the tactician in me kicked in, and I was like, wait a minute, I got the artillery advantage. Why the hell am I charging them? Let's let our artillery do their thing. And then a few moments later, it's like the Orc in me kicked in, like, what the f am I doing? No, we charge! What is this? We're not some dwarves, we're not the Dowie, we charge these people. What the hell am I doing? I had conflicting feelings. And these poor chariots, man, they could have done so much. But I was too busy microing so many other things that I just let them to die to these Death Runners. Who I didn't even realize were over there. I was just going after these Gutter Runners. And then they just get tied up right here, and oh my god. It's like 1,000 gold just down the drain. They never get moved again.
Moving fast!
I gotta use Gutter Runners more. They seem really good. I just never use them.
Let's fight! Find them and kill them! Over there!
Goblin Wolf Rider's still one of the best units in the game. I'm glad they've never really been changed. Like, for their price, they're just so good. Wolf Riders are so good. I've always loved this model because the priest is up here just enjoying the ride. Get those storm vermin.
Attack! Moving fast! Let's go! Show us the enemy! I must not moving fast!
Ooh, that was a 2-for-1.
Bash him! Suppose! I'm gonna stop him!
There it is. Get a hit on that.
Smash him! We're off! Doing
See a little bit of the warp fire throwers.
running! Find him and
Looks really cool. It's one of the only shots they got off.
moving fast! Come on! Let's
I think they get one more after I start charging them. Maybe they get... Oh, never mind. Maybe they were put on skirmish mode? I can't remember.
battle!
Ooh! That hammer of Gork hit that poor rat right in the face. Got one of those Grimgor walls going on to support our really cheap, crappy units. Hey, a Wolf Rider with like a 66 attack is something to be feared. Or like 70 attack, whatever the hell it is with the wall, I can't remember.
Now!
So yeah, here's where Grimgor starts getting a piece of these leaders. He just stayed in this little middle area, suffering the penalties of fighting in the water. Ah, these poor orc boys. They're just not fast enough to withstand the net and the poison.
Got ya! Attack! Moving fast! Moving fast! Running! Running! Moving fast!
Oh, there we go. Let me tell you, Savage Orcs do not care about the poison, or not poison, but the debuff attacks that the Death Runners have. They're like, oh, what's that? You cut our armor in half? Oh, well. Like, no cares whatsoever. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the battle, everybody. I will see you all next time. Take care.